Hi, boys and girls. Happy Thursday. I want to do something a little bit different with you today. But first, I have to start by asking you a few questions. Do you know who this is? Do you recognize that man? I'll give you a hint. He is an author, and he writes books that I know that you guys have read and that you guys like. Do you know who he is? Okay, let's look at the next picture. Do you know who any of these characters are? Do you recognize any of them? Let me put it under the camera so you can see. Do you recognize any of those characters? Now, do you think you know who this man is? Okay, what about this? Do you recognize any of these books? Have you read any of those books? Do you know the characters from any of those books? Now this one, I know that everybody has read if you were in my classroom on the first day of school. So we've had a couple new friends move that weren't with us back in August. But if you were in my classroom on the first day of school in August, I know you've read this book. Do you remember reading this book? This book and all of these books and all of these characters were all created and written by this man. Do you know his name? Now that you know what he does and what he writes, do you know his name? I'll give you a hint. His name's right here. His name is Mo Willems. And we're going to do a quick little author study on him today. We've done author studies in the past. Our most recent author study was on Dr. Seuss. We spent a ton of time on Dr. Seuss right before spring break. And we learned about Dr. Seuss's life. We learned about where he grew up. We learned about the books that he wrote. We learned about his job. We learned about how he came up with his characters. We did a lot with Dr. Seuss right before spring break. So we're going to do a shorter version of that, of Mo Willems, for our video and for our lesson today. So we're going to do three things today. We're going to read one of his books that I have hidden under here underneath my whiteboard. We're also going to read a Scholastic News article about Mo Willems. Remember the Scholastic News that we've done on the computer before where I projected up on our big screen? We're going to do that. We're going to read one of those articles about him and about Elephant and Piggy. And then, you know, Miss Farthing has gotten into these directed drawings. I'm going to show you how to draw a character, one of these characters that Mo Willems has made. Which character do you think we're going to draw? We'll have to wait and see. Okay, are you ready for me to show you the book that we're going to be reading today? We're going to be reading Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus. I am not 100% sure, but I think that this was one of the first books that he wrote. I'm not 100% sure, but it's one of the first well-known books that he wrote. This book, The Pigeon Has to Go to School, that we read on the first day of school, I'll tell you a little bit of a fact about this book. This book hasn't even been out a whole year yet. This book came out last summer, and myself and Mrs. Stout, another first grade teacher, both ordered this book while we were on summer break, and we got our names put on a list, and we were going to get the book whenever it was released, and we were waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and we knew that it was going to be released the very end of July, which is right before we start school. So we crossed our fingers that we would get the book delivered to us with enough time that we could read it and plan something to do with it for our first day of school. And guess what? We got this book the week before school started, so we were able to read it and share it with some of our other teacher friends, and we came up with a project and a craft. And if you remember, we made a full-size, life-size pigeon on the first or second day of school where you got to cut out all the blue paper, and we fed it a pigeon snack. And we talked about the school rules with this. I don't know if you remember that, but that was a long time ago back in August. So this is one of his newest books. Some of his other characters, though, like I said, are Elephant and Piggy. We have Elephant and Piggy posters and statues they're not statues, stuffed animals in our classroom. He also has written the Naked Mole Rat series. Some of you like the Naked Mole Rat books. This is the character from Knuckle Bunny. I actually had the Knuckle Bunny stories, there's 2 of them, laid out on my desk, on my table in front of my desk, ready to read the week that we came back from spring break, but we didn't get to do that. But this is the character from Knuckle Bunny. If some of you like the chapter books that he writes, the what are they called? Time to Say Please, Time to Go to School, Time to Go to Bed, This is Not a Good Idea, those series, that's what this little squirrel and I believe this cat are from. So he has written a wide variety of books, and I bet that if you look up some of his books, you've read more than what you realize. I have a lot in our Red Reader bucket, the Easy Readers bucket that's on my bookshelf too, that I bet you've read. Waiting's Not Easy is one of them. But today, we're going to read Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus. Now, before I read this, I need to ask you to help me with something. The pigeon is going to ask us one question over and over and over again in the entire book. And it's going to be a question that's going to be hard to say no to. But every time he asks, I need you to say no, because he's not going to listen to you. I'm just telling you right now, he's not going to listen. But I need you to try to make him listen to you. So every time he asks his question, you're going to see what his question is. Every time he asks his question, I need you to tell him no, as loud as you can and as stern as you can, because he has to know that you mean business. Are you ready? Don't let the pigeon drive the bus. And this is written by Mo Willems. It also tells us that the pictures are done by Mo Willems. So not only was it written by Mo Willems, which is this guy, the pictures were also drawn by Mo Willems. Mo Willems is very talented, and he draws a lot of the pictures in his books. So let's read it together. Do you remember your job? Every time the pigeon asks his question, you've got to say no. Okay, here we go. Hi, I'm the bus driver. Listen, I've got to leave for a little while, so can you watch things for me until I get back? Thanks. Oh, and remember, don't let the pigeon drive the bus. You think we can do it? He only gave us one rule. What was his one rule? Don't let the pigeon drive the bus. Can we do it? Okay, let's see. There he goes. He's leaving. Phew! I never thought he'd leave. Oh, this might be harder than we thought. Hey! Can I drive the bus? Tell him no. Please. I'll be careful. I'll tell you what. I'll just steer. My cousin Herb drives the bus almost every day. Tell him no. Tell him no now. It's a true story. Vroom, 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 vroom. Pigeon at the wheel. No, I never get to do anything. Hey, I've got an idea. Let's play Drive the Bus. I'll go first. Come on, just once around the block? Come on. I'll be your best friend. How about I give you $5? No fair. I bet your mom would let me. What's the big deal? It's just a bus. I have dreams, you know. Tell them no. Fine. Let me drive the bus! Yikes. We've made him mad. I'm back. You didn't let the pigeon drive the bus, did you? Great. Thanks a lot. Uh-oh. Bye. Hey. Uh-oh. Look what he sees. Look what he's dreaming about now. Yikes. The end. Would you like to have the pigeon driving a bus that you were riding on? I wouldn't either. Thank you for helping me out. Did you make sure to tell him no? I sure hope so, because that would be one scary trip if he drove the bus, wouldn't it? Yes. Okay, now I want to show you the website that has our Scholastic News on it. This month there was a new Scholastic News, and it was all about Mo Willems. So here's Mo Willems. It is called Mo Doesn't Give Up. That is the name of the Scholastic News article. Uh-oh. I'm going to zoom in some so you can see it better. I'm going to let it read it to us. Are you ready?
Mo doesn't give up. Mo Willems is an author and illustrator. He has made more than 60 books. How does he do it?
Did you hear that?
As you read, think about the work habits that Mo has that you can have too.
So, that very first page tells us that Mo Willems has written and illustrated over 60 books. That's a lot of books. Most authors don't write anywhere near that many books, and he has already written 60 of them. And then what it wants us to think about while we're reading is this question. It wants us to think about what kind of qualities does Mo Willems have that you could have too? So think about the things that we're going to learn about and what Mo Willems does as he writes his books and as he plans his books, and see if you could do some of those things too in your life.
Good work, Mo. How does Mo make a book? He has great work habits.
So it just answered part of that question. It's going to tell us about the different work habits that Mo Willems has. We talk all the time in our classroom about what it means to be kind and to be a good, respectable person, and to be responsible and to be safe and to be smart and to be honest. So this article is going to tell us a couple of the qualities that Mo Willems has. And I want you to see and you to think about if you can use these qualities in your own life.
1. Mo takes his time. Mo made up the characters Elephant and Piggy. It took him a long time. He wanted 2 animals that were just right together. He drew a lot of pictures. He wrote down a lot of ideas. He did not rush. Finally, he had it. Elephant and Piggy were the perfect pair.
So what was the first quality that Mo Willems had? We just read about it. It told us that the first thing that he really has a good habit with is taking his time. It took him a long time to come up with his characters of Elephant and Piggy, which I know that you guys know who those are. Here's Piggy. Oh, that's Elephant. And there's Piggy. So it took him a long time. It wasn't like he just woke up one day and automatically had this great idea to make these Elephant and Piggy books. He worked hard to come up with good ideas. Let's see what the second thing is that he does really well.
2. Mo knows mistakes are okay. Mo's books aren't perfect on the first try. He makes mistakes. That's okay. A pencil has an eraser for a reason, he says. You can erase a mistake and try again. Mo makes a lot of changes on each book. I make many drafts, he says. Here is a draft and the final page from his book. A big guy took my ball.
So the second thing that it tells us about Mo Willems is that he knows that mistakes are okay to make. Not everything's going to be perfect. And I tell you that too. The reason that we use a pencil in first grade is because we make lots of mistakes in first grade. I'm an adult and I still make plenty of mistakes. And Mo Willems, the author that's very successful, makes mistakes too. Mr. Fletcher makes mistakes. Your mom and dad make mistakes. Your big siblings make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. On this article, it shows us that top picture right here is Mo Willems' very first drawing when he was writing the book, A Big Guy Took My Ball. He thought that this was the drawing he wanted on that page. But then, this is what it ended up like. Did it start out like that? No. It had to go through editing, and he had to redraw it, and he had to color it, and he might have even had to change the words. Yeah, in the beginning it says, that guy is bigger than me. That's what he thought he was going to say first. But then it says that the final page says, this is a big guy. So he made mistakes. He had to go back and rewrite what he had done to make it better. Let's see what the third thing is.
Draft. Final. 3. Mo doesn't give up. Mo wasn't always a famous author. His first book was Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus. Mo sent it to book companies. No one wanted it. He didn't give up. He thought his book was good. Finally, after 2 years, someone published it.
What did that tell us? It told us that Mo Willems did not give up. His very first book that he wrote, this book, no one wanted to make this book into a book. He had all these papers and all these notes and all of these ideas ready to give them. But no one wanted it. No one wanted to make it into a real book and sell it. Finally, after 2 full years, so think about how long ago you started kindergarten, even longer than that. After 2 full years, someone finally said, you know what? I like your book. I'm going to make it into a book. What if you would have stopped trying after a week or after 3 months or after 1 year? We would not have this book today. And we wouldn't have a lot of his other books either, I bet. He did not give up. There are so many of you who maybe you're doing a math problem and I say, oh, no, try again. And you try again and you think about it and you get it. You always have to try again. If you give up, you're never going to get it. But if you try again, you'll have a much better chance. Now, let's read about the fourth and last thing about Mo Willems.
Mo believes in himself. Mo thinks his stories are good. He thinks your stories are good too. He says that the stories you write are just as important as the ones he writes. There's no difference between what a first grader is doing and what I am doing, he says.
Now, the fourth thing, which I think is the most important thing, is that he believes in himself. He knows that he can sit down and write good books. He wrote this book. He wrote all of these books. He wrote 60 books. He knows that he can write a good book. And he doesn't give up on himself. He believes in himself, and he knows that he can do good work. But what's really cool that Mo Willems says is that he says that he believes in you too. Mo Willems is a really kind man. He does a lot of things for schools and for libraries all across the country. And he said, right here, he says, there's no difference between what a first grader is doing and what I am doing, he says. So he truly believes that even first graders are great writers. First graders are using what they know right now, and they write great stories. There are so many friends in our class who love to write creative stories, and they like to share them under the camera at journal time. They like to read them to the class. Right before spring break, Lyric even wrote a book and stapled it and had a cover and the and pictures and papers and even put it on our bookshelf for people to read. There are many cases where people can create their own books, even if you're in first grade. So he says that it is so, 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 so important to believe in yourself. Now, before we X out of this, I want to show you one more thing on here. We already read about the pigeon, and I'm going to do something else about the pigeon in just a minute. But before we do that, I want to show you this. Let me get back to it.
Mo doesn't give up.
I want to show you a real quick video. What should we do? We have a video that we can choose to watch about Elephant and Piggy or about the pigeon. I was going to have us watch the video about Elephant and Piggy, but if you would like to see the video about the pigeon, let me know and I can send it to you.
All about Elephant and Piggy with Mo Willems.
Hi, my name is Mo Willems, and I make books. Elephant and Piggy are the first characters that I purposely designed to be in a series. I knew I was going to make more than one Elephant and Piggy book, and so that meant I had to cast my main characters, like you cast a TV show. Well, Elephant came first. I knew who Elephant was. I had been drawing Elephant Gerald for about a year. Every night when we have dinner, we draw on the dining room table on a piece of paper. And so this elephant had come up. I got a sense of its personality. But I knew that Elephant Gerald alone would not be worth reading, that it wouldn't be exciting. I knew that Elephant Gerald needed a partner. So I held open auditions. I had a giraffe, I had muskrats, I had all these different animals come in to see if they would make a good partner for Elephant Gerald. And man, it was hard. I spent a long time auditioning and I just couldn't find the right character. I think I ended up with like a muskrat with a helmet at one point, but they didn't get along. They weren't best friends. And then one day, Piggy showed up and I knew it immediately and I cast Piggy. And then, only then did I start thinking about writing the stories that Elephant and Piggy would be in. Elephant and Piggy are best friends, and I could show anything in their life. I made 25 books. I could have showed anything. I could have showed them eating breakfast. I could have showed them going to the movies. But what I chose to do in every single book is to show these two best friends almost losing their friendship, miscommunicating, and suddenly realizing, oh man, I goofed, and then finding a way to rebuild their friendship together. So they're not the best friends because they all love the same things. They're not the best friends because they do the same things. They're not the best friends because they're famous. They're the best friends because whenever their friendship is about to fall apart, they do their level best to find a way to build it back together. So my job for 25 books was to make life miserable for them, was to stick them in the worst possible situations so that they almost lost their friends.
So, I want you to think about what Mo Willems said. He's right. He's written a lot of books about Elephant and Piggy, and we've read some of those books, and you've read some of those books, and Mrs. Price has read you some of those books. And in every story, Elephant and Piggy have a problem. And they usually get mad at each other, or maybe they're frustrated with each other, or maybe they're upset with each other, or maybe one of them is missing. But do they stay friends in the end? Yep. That is something very important in first grade, and second grade, and third grade, and fifth grade, for your whole life. When you have a friend, it is really, really, really important not to let, if it's a good friend, not to let something small come in the way of your friendship. So maybe you're arguing over who's going to play with the green ball at recess. Is that really something to not be friends about? Maybe you're arguing over who gets to sit next to someone at lunch. Is that really something to not be friends about? No. Elephant and Piggy had to work through a lot of problems in all of those stories. He showed you all of those stories lined up on a shelf. He said he's written 25 books about Elephant and Piggy. And in every story, they've had some kind of problem that they've had to overcome. But in every story, they have figured it out and they've stayed friends because they realized that being friends and staying best friends is more important than whatever it is that they're arguing about. So I really hope that you remember that and that you practice that same rule with your friends. Okay, are you ready for the last thing? This is I think the most fun thing. I am going to show you how to draw Pigeon from our book. So Pigeon is in our Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus. He's in Don't Let the Pigeon Go to Bed. He's in The Pigeon Has to Go to School. He's in all of those pigeon books. It also shows that he's in The Pigeon Finds a Hot Dog, Don't Let the Pigeon, the duckling gets a cookie, the pigeon needs a bath, the pigeon wants a puppy, Don't Let the Pigeon Stay Up Late. If you look in some of his other books, the pigeon is even in some of the other books that aren't about pigeons. But today, we are going to draw Pigeon. So I want you to follow along with me. You can do this with pencil and with paper. I'm doing it on my dry erase board, but you can do it on pencil and paper. And then when you're done, remember, this is what Pigeon looks like in the end. When you're done, you can color him in. I watched a video today of Mo Willems teaching how to draw Pigeon. So maybe I'll look and see if there's one about elephant or piggy too. But are you ready? Let me focus this. Okay, the first thing that you're going to do, if you don't have your pencil and paper, you can pause this and go get it. But whenever you get back and unpause it, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to draw, I'm going to do mine this way. Let's see if you can see that. Yeah, you can still see it. The first thing, it might be easier if you draw it up and down. You'll have more room instead of sideways. So if you have a regular piece of paper like this, it's going to be easier to do it up and down instead of long ways. So do it hot dog style instead of hamburger. Okay? So put it this way. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to make an oval kind of towards the top of your page. This is going to be his head. Then you're going to make another circle in the middle of it. That's going to be his big eyeball, his white part of the eyeball. And then on the inside of that, you're going to make another circle. And that is going to be the black part of his eyeball. Now we're going to make his neck. So to make his neck, you're going to make two, that didn't go very well. My marker quit working. You're going to make two straight lines down to make his neck. Then you're going to, I'm going to make mine a little bit shorter. I made mine a little bit too long. Then you're going to go out straight that way. And then on this one, you're going to go around like you're making a wide U or a bathtub. And then you're going to make your wing. On your wing, you're going to make a straight line and then go down and around. Then let's make his feet. Straight line, straight line. And then you're going to make an upside down V on both of them. Then you're going to make two lines for his neck. Now, the more I look at it, I think that the top part of my head is a little bit crooked. So I don't have to erase it, but I'm going to erase it just a little bit. I brought one of our erasers home from our classroom a couple weeks ago. I'm going to make it into a circle instead of an oval. You wouldn't have to do that. There, I think that's going to look a little bit better. But if you made an oval and you like the way your oval looks, absolutely leave it. Now, the last thing we have to do is add his beak. So for his beak, we're going to make two almost like triangles off the side of his face. I'm going to make his head pointing this way. I'm going to make a triangle here, and then a little triangle underneath it for the bottom part. And there is your pigeon. And just like in all the other pictures, you could color him and leave him just like this, or you could draw him with grass underneath him, or with sunshine, or with clouds, or if you wanted to draw the bus in the background, maybe if you want to draw a bus that looks like this, you could draw a bus in the background. You could draw Elephant and Piggy on here, anything else that you wanted. But there is our pigeon from Mo Willems' Pigeon series. And here is a picture of him colored in. If you want to see him one more time, you could pause this video to see. But it looks like his whole body is blue. The inside part of his eye is black. The outside part of his eye is white. His little strip on his neck is white, and his beak is yellow. Everything else is black. And you can even see, if you look really close at the pictures, when he draws his characters, a lot of the times they're kind of outlined in what looks like crayon. So it almost looks like he's outlined his animals, his characters in crayon, which is what we do a lot of the times as well. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that now you won't forget who Mo Willems is. And the next time you're in a library, maybe you'll find a Mo Willems book that you haven't got to read yet. Or if you have any Mo Willems books at your house, maybe you can send me a picture of you reading a Mo Willems book. I hope that you have a fabulous day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.